I have two questions for you. It's actually one question that branches out, and you have a unique opportunity here to say, what is your message? What's the single takeaway that you want organizations with customer support departments? What do you want them to know? And then secondly, to the BPO partners that serve them, what's the one most important thing you want them to know?
God, it's such a big question. So many people are thinking and trying to solve. The first is the macro world that we're in is driving personalization faster than most people recognize, even when they are in this space thinking about it every day. I came out of a traditional conversational AI company providing very elegant artistic solutions to some of the best brands in the world. Conversational AI requires PhD level linguistic experts to build out communication trees. Almost overnight, that model became outdated, and generative/predictive AI can now use small silos of information and can give that back to a user in unique ways. And we're still solving how good that is, and there are still hallucinations. But one of the things that needs to be understood is that in many cases, the first time there's a hallucination is the only time there is that specific hallucination. About a year ago, there was a lot of kerfuffle over Google recommended rocks on a pizza as part of a topping. And I think it even dinged Google's stock price for a day. But guess what? That's never happened again. That is now gone. There's bigger issues, deeper issues, right? Of implicit bias, demographic or racial bias or gender bias with some of the tools that are out there. But you don't hear about that the way you did a year ago. And I'm using that only as an example to say the speed at which things are changing, our brains programmatically cannot process it. In order to manage this, you have to leap ahead a year and then go to the extreme, as far as I'm concerned, and play what if. Now, this is just imperative for thinking about the customer experience. They're inside the contact center world. Robotic process automation, RPA, was such a big deal about 10 years ago. Then COVID slowed it down. Unfortunately, some really good companies stumbled because investment shrunk. But now that automation has already moved to the next evolution, which is orchestration. Instead of managing a couple tasks, let's manage the entire experience. A year ago, Steve, I could go to CX events in Vegas or anywhere else. People were so proud of the agent supporting tools that they had. And they would say, look, we can tell when the customer is starting to get testy, and we can provide 3 or 4 sentence concepts that the agent can use to try to diffuse the situation and get it back on track. And those are really clever. Hey, select B, say it, and it brings the agent in a human in the loop capacity back to the forefront of the equation. Already, those things are dated. Again, just another example about how fast this stuff is moving. But when you bundle all that up, you say, what does it all mean 5, 10 years from now? It's personalization. You're going to have a different experience on that airline that I'm going to have. You're going to care more about one part of your shoelaces. I'm going to care more about the soles of my shoe, and on it goes. You're going to want someone to talk to you. It's sweet nothings on the phone or on chat, more likely. I'm going to want them to get right to the facts and just get me the answer. This is what personalization all means. Move. If you're the business, you've got to move that way. The top BPO in the world is Teleperformance by size, I think maybe by revenue as well. They've announced in 2025 that they're investing over $100 million in AI partnerships. They're not trying to build everything themselves, but they're bringing in what the future is going to look like. That's going to create a separation between that particular company and many of the others. How do we all catch up? And then you jump over to the other side of the desk, where you're a business trying to evaluate a CX BPO provider. I'm thinking about what's the integrity of your infrastructure? What's your people team look like? Which I know does not come up typically as one of the first 3 things, but my experience of DXI and other places taught me that the number one driver of success is often those amazing people teams who are building the evangelism internally and building the enthusiasm, finding the best candidates. And then finally, as we move forward, the human becomes more crucial for the complex problem solving skills and what they can offer somebody, because the automation of AI, which now becomes orchestration of AI, is going to be solving many of your problems and my problems. Gartner estimates that, what is it? I believe it's Gartner as well as Capgemini this year, both having about the same number of saying 80% of routine requests are now being answered by AI. So if you think about that, it does mean that there's a smaller workforce of humans ultimately that need to help this out. But when you are talking to that human, it means that something has accelerated. So what are you doing as a BPO to make sure that human is equipped to be incredibly successful to keep you and I from getting ticked off?